Matt, back again. I mean, this is something you've been doing for a long time, coming and showing up at fight weeks. But is it still exciting when you get here?
So exciting, man. Never gets old. That's why I keep doing it, man. Still get the nerves, still get the butterflies, still, just pumped, man. And yeah, this is the greatest feeling in the world, man.
It's funny. I was going to ask you. I was looking through your social media, and you posted that poem that you had written, right? And part of it was embrace the fear. And I know it's like a healthy fear, like butterflies, right? But I mean, at this point, you still get that fear ahead of time?
Heck yeah, man. I mean, people forget, like, you could still die out there, right? Like, this is not a game. This is life and death out there. I know in the UFC, we've been lucky, and I don't think anyone's ever died. But I mean, it happens, I mean, this is a brutal, brutal sport. And I mean, I've had some brutal injuries from fights. So, that's scary, man. But even more than all that, like to be, you have the potential of being humiliated. That's what's scary. I'd rather get my face broken or my leg or whatever than be humiliated. And that's what the real fear is. So I just enjoy it, man. Like good. I'm scared again. I like it.
Is that what draws you to it? I mean, is it just the adrenaline of all that, kind of the fear part of it?
That's certainly a big part of it, but also, man, I think I have a lot to offer still. I still think that I have a lot of things that I haven't shown. I don't think I've put on my best performance yet. I might, it might be one of those unicorns you're chasing where you're always searching for that best performance. I'm sure everybody would say that, but I just think I can do a lot better than I ever have.
Nice. Quickest turnaround you've had in quite some time,
Yeah.
right? I mean, so I'm curious, like, is that a good thing, or are you feeling it right now saying, maybe a couple more months hasn't been too bad?
No, that's a good thing. That means my life is together, man. That's the only reason that I haven't fought as often as I would like to, is just fighting is the easy part of my life. The rest of my life, like, I'm just not good at handling all that stuff. That's it. I'm sure like everybody can sympathize with that, right? Like, life is complicated.
I know how passionate you are about the sport, and I do think you still have something to offer. But have you started thinking about the end yet? And what life is going to be like?
Of course. That's why I opened my gym. I have a gym at More Martial Arts Center in Columbus, Ohio, Lewis Center to be exact. That was the entire reason I did that. I knew that I don't have another 20 years left in this, right? So I wanted to have something pre-made rather than starting from scratch. Because obviously businesses take a long time to build. I also have my coffee brand, Immortal Coffee, theimmortalcoffee.com, if I give a little plug there. And everybody in here should check it out. It is the best coffee I ever had. But anyway, yeah, so, I got things like that going on, and some other potential opportunities too. But I wanted to have those things in place so that it's a clean breakaway when I'm ready.
Does the coffee come in K-cups? Can I use it like a little Keurig, maybe?
Nah, that's just for the birds, man. Come on, man. Nah, we have the best coffee, and K-cups do not make the best coffee. Make it like a man in a French press.
I just got embarrassed by Matt Brown today. You see, the fear is real. Talk about this matchup, Dhiego Lima, when that was the name they gave you. Obviously a super respectful guy, a fun fighter. Was this one that excited you?
Of course, man. He's a great fighter. He's getting better all the time. That's the one thing everybody asks me what to expect in this fight. And of course, you can watch all of his fights and see what you think is going to happen, but he gets better every time. Every fight that he's had. Even his last fight, he lost to Bilal, but he was looking really good. And I think Bilal just wore him out. I think he did a lot of really good things in that fight and showed some new things that we hadn't seen in previous fights from him. So, Dhiego is a really, really, really good fighter. And once he kind of gets his shit together in there, he's really going to spark some people. So, I'd got to stop that, And it's a great fight, man. I think, we know each other. We trained together before. I fought his brother. I trained Jesse Taylor to fight him, so I studied him, and in that camp I emulated Dhiego a lot. So, I know a lot about him. And we'll be friendly and everything before and after, but for 15 minutes, it's going to be a bloodbath.
He said he was actually kind of hesitant to take the fight at first because he does have such respect for you. You guys train together and all that. And then he said he thought about it, and he's like, Matt would probably think it's more disrespectful if I wouldn't take a fight with him. Was he right?
Definitely.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I felt the same way. I was like, I like Dhiego. It's not necessarily a guy that I'm gonna call out to fight or be like, God, I can't wait to get my hands on this son of a bitch. So when they called me, I said, okay, well, I mean, I've never said no or really thought about it, but I was like, that sucks. It's Dhiego, but let's go.
Nice. At this point in your career, do you change your approach much for fights in terms of strategy, game planning, that, or is it you are the product you are?
I don't know what you mean.
Like, do you feel like you've seen everything at this point, you've done everything, so do you have to tactically change things significantly for each fight, or do you just kind of
Well, I changed the training for sure. Like back in the day when I used to train, it was just go to war every day. It was just go in and, who's the toughest guy in here today? Let's go. And let's, it was a fight every day. And then you kind of burn yourself out doing that and take more shots than you need to. And now my training's a lot more strategic, a lot more, more pad work and things like that, less sparring. Try to be smarter, mitigate the injuries. Because I'm 40 years old, man. The injuries don't heal up the way they did when I was 28, 25. You feel them for a lot longer. You wake up feeling different, and that's not an enjoyable feeling. And that doesn't motivate you to get to the gym and train another day and train hard. So, yeah, I take care of a lot of things in training a lot differently. But in terms of the fight, the training should dictate what happens in the fight. I always have a strategy that I work on during camp, and then when the fight happens, I want my mind clear. The strategy should have been implemented so much in camp that once I step in the fight, my mind doesn't have to think about it anymore.
Very nice. Last thing for me, what are the goals left for you right now? Like you said, you still got something to offer. I mean, are there names? Are there numbers of fights? I mean, what is it that you still want to check off before you feel comfortable saying, okay, that was enough?
I don't know if I'll ever feel comfortable saying that was enough. Right now I'm focused on this fight. I'll kind of work on it after that. I'd like to get that knockout record. I'm pretty close to that. I'd like to implement the skills that I have that I haven't shown. Like I work on these skills all the time in the gym, and then I go out there and fight and don't do any of it. So I think that like to me is probably something like the most meaningful thing for me. Like I'm a martial artist, and then that's what I want to do is practice something and then go do it and show that it works and test it against other people.
Matt, you brought up something I thought was interesting, fear of humiliation more than getting your face broken.
Yeah.
I think anybody that watches fighters get in the ring, respect, win or lose, what you guys are doing. I mean, what does that mean? Humiliation, is it, what is it that you expect when you're...
Well, I've come to find that it's not really humiliation. I mean, I've been beaten, probably like Jake Ellenberger, when he beat me, it was probably like my most, if you want to call it humiliating. He beat me pretty quickly, dropped me pretty quickly, so I personally felt humiliated. But then I woke up the next day and there are my kids hugging on me, and my friends were still my friends, and life goes on and everything was good, and I got to get back in there again and have another fight and prove that was a fluke. And so humiliation isn't a real thing, but I think it's more of like a personal humiliation. Like you're just like God, man, it's not the way it's supposed to be, So I don't know. It's more of a personal thing, I guess. But we hold ourselves to high standards. I think that's all it comes down to.
When you step in there, what is it that you expect out of yourself when you get in the octagon?
I expect perfection, of course. That's what we train for, right? And I expect, to push through anything that comes at me, and I expect to be first. I expect to get hit or hit and not get hit. Just all the basic things. Like I expect to be a perfect combatant, and it's what I train every day to do. I know that it's an unreachable goal, but that's what makes it so fun searching for it.
And you said fighting is the easy part. Outside of the cage is kind of complicated. Is that how you feel when you're in the octagon, like unburdened from everything else?
Yeah, 100%, man. And honestly, like most of fight week is like that. Like that's what the great thing about being here and doing this, and it's so enjoyable. Other than the weight cut, that's a stressful thing. But the week is just, it's all about you, and people want to ask you questions and look up to you, and usually fans would want to get your autograph and hug on you and shake your hand and stuff, but not really getting that right now. But yeah, man, this is just what it's all about, man. This is the greatest thing in life right here.
Do you miss the fans? That
100%, man. I was so disappointed when they said I was fighting at the Apex. God, I was just talking about that with someone else earlier. I was like, the fans always hang out in the lobby, and you go down there and it's so freaking annoying, and you're like, dude, like how long you been sitting out here, like you dork, But now I'm like, where are they at, man? I wish they were here, Like we kind of took it for granted, I guess.
Do you think, like you said, when you're in the cage, you feel the most unburdened? It's the easy part. Do you think that's one of the things why fighters have a hard time retiring?
Absolutely, man. I mean, that's when we're free. That's, everything in our life that we when we get a fight, man, we're thinking about that 24 hours a day. Every single thing in our life revolves around that. And then finally we get to step in there and we're completely free. Obviously there's a couple rules here and there, but now we're free to express ourselves the way that we have been training to express ourselves for years or however long. And I mean, I hope everybody in the world gets to experience something like that, whether it's fighting or, I don't know, skydiving, like something. It doesn't even have to be something intense like that, but, whatever you do with your work, everybody in there, that is, to me, that is what life is about. When there's, like anytime you look at your watch, like your life sucks, right? That's kind of like an easy way to say it, right? When there's no time existing, life is the best.
Outside of fighting, what is it like, whether it's skydiving or what is it in your life that gets you charged up?
The kids. I teach a lot of kids in my gym now, and that's like probably the most fulfilling thing I've ever done in my life. Watching a kid, an example, like I had a kid come in, he was like 12, 13 years old, been getting bullied at school, had his head down like this, like wouldn't even look up and say hi to me. I think maybe 2-3 weeks later, after taking the classes and hanging with them and teaching them some stuff, he walked in with his chest puffed out and ready to take on the world. Not scared of anything, and that's by far one of the most fulfilling things, even more than stepping in an octagon and winning a fight. I mean, to affect another kid like that, and that's going to go with him for his whole life, and he'll be able to do great things now.
Awesome.
Someone want to touch on when you were talking about not so much just humiliation, but for you, knowing your mindset and when you go in there, what's worse? If you're going out there and the plan and everything is working out to perfection, you're doing your best, everything's working out, and you just get caught with something and then you're out. Or you go out there and you just feel flat and you just don't have a great performance, nothing's coming, nothing's working. Which is worse for you?
Maybe I shouldn't have said humiliation. I don't know, like it's really not that bad.
Right.
Like again, like I win, I'm happy. I lose, I'm happy. And that's all it comes down to. How you win, how you lose. This is the way I explain nowadays. It's like I'm a martial artist for life. I married this sport a long time ago. Every girl I've ever taken on a date, I tell her that. Like I'm married to the sport. You're gonna be second. I mean, I guess if we're, actually talking about being something serious, I'm like, look, you're going to be second. You just have to accept that. You're always going to be second place. I'm going to do this till the day I die. All the fight is a picture in time of where my martial art was at that day. But until the day I die, this is going to be what I'm doing. So that all that is just a flash. Like that means that day, this happened. So what?
Is that first date conversation or second date conversation?
Depends on the girl. That's probably like fifth or sixth. Now I'm ready to get rid of her.
So looking at this fight, you're coming in with, a couple losses in the last ones, but does that even wear in your mind, or is it just a matter of you want to go out there and perform to the best of your ability? Do you carry any extra pressure on you from previous bouts, or is it just all about the now?
Yeah, I do my best to not carry that pressure. I don't think it's possible to just completely shut it out of your mind, but I'm absolutely, just focused on myself and absolutely just looking to get in there and do the absolute best that my body can do. And I know that a win will come if I do that.
And I love the fact that it seems like life on the outside, your business is even growing. I remember when you had the Immortal Coffee, I was like, cool, you're starting a business. Now you got the gym. I guess what's one of the biggest challenges or things you've learned either about yourself or learned about doing businesses going through this process?
Without a doubt, I think the number one thing that I've learned doing business, and I think anybody that's ever owned a business or been an entrepreneur could attest to this, is dealing with other people. I realized I'm not that good at dealing with other people. And that's what, as a leader of a business, that's the skill that you have to develop. And I've worked on that. And to me, that's by far the most complex skill. And because I don't know if it's always been this way, but everybody says this day and age, no one wants to work. And yeah, that's true. But at the same time, no one's going to care about your business as much as you do, and they shouldn't. It's not their business. So, you can kind of see both sides. So that's a huge process right there, and I'm still developing those skills. So.
Do you feel like you're taking some of those skills and teaching those to these young kids as well in the gym as well? That's something that maybe they wouldn't get if they just went to somebody that was just at an MMA gym somewhere?
Yeah, absolutely trying to. Hopefully I'm getting that across to them. And that's exactly what I was talking about earlier, with like being a professional. And actually, I don't even know if I was talking with you guys about that. Might have been my last interview. Think about
it all becomes a blur fight week.
Yeah, but we were talking about, so my training has gotten a lot more professional since I've ran a business, because I kind of understand things that I didn't understand before about planning and strategy, and for my fighting career. Now in each camp I do this. I have a business plan for that camp. What is the strategy? How are we going to go about getting to this strategy? And what's the goals? And I build a SWOT profile, if anybody knows what that is. Different things like this that I just never would have thought of before. Before it was just train every day, work hard, try to get better. And now, I don't even consider when I'm in training, I don't even call it a workout anymore. It's practice, because I'm actually practicing with intention to do something specific. And I think that's important to do in a business. So that's kind of where I learned that from. And I think there's a lot of carryover there.
And lastly, is there a protocol when, and maybe it's not like an informal protocol, when you fight a former training partner or somebody that you trained or did something? I mean, do you guys call each other beforehand, or do you have a barbecue afterwards and just say, oh man, that was weird? I mean, what do you do? I mean, what did you do? Did you call them up, or did you just take it as another thing? Or is that something that we on the outside make too much of?
In my case, you guys probably just make too much of it. I don't care one way or another. I mean, I look at it like this. If I train with you, I'll fight you. I don't care. If you're my friend, I'll never fight you, period. For $1 million, millions of dollars, whatever, it doesn't matter. I wouldn't never fight an actual friend. If we just train together, then I don't care. I'll fight you, and it is what it is.
Can we be friends?
That's a good one. You're my buddy, man.
Best of luck.